Welcome back, everyone. It's me, Jayden, again for another Student Pages Spotlight interview. Today we are joined by Rianne Downey. So, your debut album, The Consequence of Love, it's been produced by Grammy winner Ryan Hadlock. Incredible, first of all. Like, that is a massive accomplishment, especially for your first proper album. That is literally insane. 10 tracks on it as well. If you could just tell us a little bit about your time working on that music, what genre it is, and what inspired the creative process behind it.
So I think I've always loved country music. I've always loved folk music as well growing up. I think being Scottish, I just naturally have taken to that sort of storytelling thing. It comes with country and folk, and yeah, I've loved that all my life really. And as I grew up and I started to actually try and be a musician, I was always sort of writing and playing different genres and trying to figure out who I am. And basically I feel like I got to the point with the album and I found like a sort of nice mixture between all of my influences. And one thing I've always wanted to do is play music in America. So when my label thought it was a great idea to go over to Seattle and record with Ryan, I 100% agreed. And yeah, I flew over there and it really was just a dream come true.
Yeah, no, that is awesome to hear. Again, it's just such a huge accomplishment. So massive congratulations to yourself. If you could just take a few steps back then and just talk us through like what started this love for you in country and folk music? Where did that come from and how did you break into the music industry?
So my gran and my papa, who I spent a lot of time with when I was younger, I stayed there a lot. They loved country music, so I grew up on a sort of steady diet of country music, like Johnny Cash and Patsy Cline, artists like that. So I think it was always sort
Awesome.
of in me, really. And yeah, when I was younger, my mum says I could sing before I could speak. So I think music's just always been a massive part of my life. I think that's sort of how I would even communicate when I was younger as well. I just always loved it, and through that, I always sang. And then when I was 15, I decided to start busking in Glasgow, instead of trying to get like a sort of normal job, I guess. And then when I turned 18, I started playing the pubs. Then lockdown hit, and I was uploading covers online just to sort of see what would happen. I didn't really have any strategy or anything like that. And people seemed to really love it and take to it. And I signed a deal with Run On Records and Modern Sky. And it's all sort of kind of taken shape since then.
Yeah. So it's all just worked out for you in the end. But no, it seems like it's come from a really genuine place. And I think that's really lovely when you actually have like a pretty deep emotional connection to your art and your work. I think it just proves how much soul is in it. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, that's really sweet to hear. So I mean, what do you think? So you mentioned earlier some of like the big names like Johnny Cash. What do you think makes your music specifically stand out from the rest? Because again, it's obviously drawn in a lot of attention. So why do you think that is?
I think it's one of them where it's quite unique in a way, but it's also, I hope it's universal. I really try to write songs lyrically and melodically that people can sort of take to quite easily, I hope. And I really try to like, I'm trying to think of the words. I try to write lyrics in the way that I would say things as well, because sometimes I'm not the most articulate person, but I think I can put things simply sometimes. So yeah, that's what I've tried to do with the songs, and I think people just seem to sort of buy into me, and maybe it is the sort of rawness of it all that people actually like.
Yeah, no, that's really sweet. So I guess then when you first got into like when you first started, making these videos and sort of signing these deals and stuff, what were the reactions from the people around you, like your family? Because you mentioned that they've always been very supportive and, fruitful in your endeavors here. What was the reactions from them when this sort of all started taking shape?
I think it was all quite surreal for everybody. It was dead exciting as well, naturally. But I think we've all just sort of kind of been taking it in our stride. It's nice in a way because I think because my family have been so supportive, in a way they've thought, oh, it would be a matter of time before Rianne went off and did something. But obviously it's went to a bigger scale than anybody could have imagined. So I think we all feel very grateful, but I like it as well because I'm still just there wee Rianne to them. So they definitely like keep me grounded and remind me why I'm doing this as well. And it's to sort of because I love it and because I want to try and create a better life and nice memories for everyone.
Yeah, it is sweet, isn't it? Because I think your family will always know the purest version of yourself. And obviously, given that they've been there since the start of the journey, they'll obviously know, that you really do have this passion and that you really do care very deeply about it. So yeah, I think it's really sweet when sort of they've had that experience of watching it grow to the point where not that the next steps aren't impressive, but they just come in the stride. And like you say, it was all a degree of expected for you. I just think that's really sweet, to be honest. So go on then. I think this genre of music that you're involved in, all genres of music obviously have their fans and their haters, but I do wonder, have you been affected by any sort of online pressure or finger pointing, or has the feedback online always been very positive and very, very nice for you?
Overall, it's been so positive. I actually feel like I'm probably one of the lucky ones in that sense. But there is definitely the fair share of negative. I think in a way the sort of bigger you get as well, the more negativity can sort of creep in there. But that also means there's more positive as well. So there's always a bit of a balance, but it's definitely been a learning curve for me to try and not take it too personally. It's one of them. I think naturally as humans we can focus on the negatives. You could have 100 odd lovely comments and then there's one negative and that's all you can think about. I think it's just sort of part of the parcel when you're going to have an online presence. It definitely started to come in more when I joined Paul Heaton's band, because naturally people have someone to sort of compare you to and then want to bring you down and people don't like change as well, so sometimes they can respond negatively, but if anything it's helped me build a thicker skin, which is good, and I do sort of try to take it as a sign that things are going well as well when people have more to say.
Yeah, no, of course, because it shows that, people are going to have a take either way. And it's like if you're getting more positive than negative, you're doing something right at the end of the day. I think it's always a good sign. So, yeah, has there been any sort of real life experiences that you've run into or anything that you've gone through in your life, either positive or negative, that's made its way into your music? Or do you try and tell stories that aren't related directly to yourself?
My music is very personal. Every song is sort of born out of experiences that I've had. And a lot of the time I don't always write things when I'm going through it. I sort of write once I'm out of it, if that makes sense. And I can sort of make sense of what's happened and how I feel about it now and things like that. But yeah, my music is very personal, but when I write the lyrics, I try to make it so people can take what they want from it. So I've got a song called The Consequence of Love, and for me it's actually about watching my gran deteriorate dementia. So it's that sort of thing where you're grieving a person that's still here, and even though loss is inevitable, it's still you still can't prepare yourself for the sort of pain of that. But it's one of them where I don't think when you listen to the lyrics that you'd know that it's sort of specifically about that. People can sort of take it and use it, whether that's grief or losing a relationship or a friendship or things like that. I try to sort of take my own experiences, which I'm sure a lot of people are going through something similar, but just make it that bit more relatable and universal, I guess.
No, that's really interesting actually, because I think again, like you say, it's not necessarily very in your face obvious, but I think now that you've mentioned it, you absolutely see it in the song, and I think it's interesting as well. I think it takes an immense amount of talent to sort of be able to write something where it's written about something, and when you're given the context, it makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about that. I think that making art like that, that's almost, I think interpretive is the wrong word, but being able to interpret it, I think that is, that's something that takes like a lot of thought and a really deep sort of cognitive level of understanding. So yeah, no, I think that's really quite clever to do. Massive props for that one.
Thank you.
So no, of course, absolutely. I mean, so we're pivoting it a little bit here, but I am always curious and I always ask about this. With social media, then, how do you sort of view that in your line of work? Do you see it as one of those necessary evils that you sort of need for promotion, or are you perfectly fine with using it and only really face like the plus sides of it?
I definitely see it as a necessary evil. And well, to some extent, I guess it's one of them where my career basically sort of started through social media, so I'm very grateful for it in that sense. But even when I started uploading covers during lockdown 5 years ago, the internet is a very different place now, and I think the music industry is very different because of social media as well. It feels a lot less about the music now, which can be hard because I'm in it solely for the music. And I'm not someone that loves social media in my sort of personal life anyway, so I sometimes think I'm not that way inclined. I feel really comfortable performing on stage, but when you put a camera in front of me, I just feel like I want to go into myself sort of thing. It does a lot of good, but if there was a choice of not really having to do content to promote yourself, I'd probably choose that route. But
And I honestly can't
yeah.
blame you. It is a cesspool out there at times, isn't it? You know, that's the internet. That's the problem, isn't it? Anyone can say anything, both positive or negative. So yeah, I think you definitely do right to sort of be able to keep the balance there, be able to distance yourself when you need to. That's definitely a right call, I'd say. So we spoke very briefly about your collaboration with Ryan, but I am curious, just in general, when you're working on music and when you're involved in this industry, how important would you say it is to find other people that are willing to work with you on what you're producing and sort of just find like-minded people?
I think it's really important. It was pretty pivotal for me to finally get to the sort of music that I wanted to make, because it's one of them where I've met and worked with so many lovely people in the industry, but sometimes when it comes to music, because it is such a deep thing, especially for me, sometimes it's not even about the talking. It's like you have to be sort of on the same wavelength, and I think that's what was lovely about working with Ryan. Right from the get go, he totally understood what my music was, and he could just capture all the things that I couldn't really articulate. I'd wrote the songs, but I couldn't really show them off in the way that I wanted to, and he knew exactly how to sort of do that in a way that still felt really true to me, but also put in his Ryan Hadlock special on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you don't always want to work with people that are just doing exactly what you're doing, because realistically, that's just almost like adding you to you, which equals you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can totally see how sort of switching it up, being able to find people that maybe complement what you do, but aren't exactly. Absolutely, yeah, that makes an absolute ton of sense. So, I mean, if we're putting the music aside for a second, what do you do in your free time? Because I've spoken to I've heard really interesting answers to this, but I think one that stuck out to me is that there's some people who feel like music takes over everything else and that is their free time almost. Would you say you relate to that, or is there other things that you managed to get up to that you quite enjoy?
No, I 100% relate to that. My life is just music, music, music. Can't switch off from it really. Even if I'm not playing, I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about sort of my career and plans and things like that as well. It's literally, yeah, it's all I think about. It's weird because I do think as an adult I don't have a hobby, but it's because my job is my hobby. I always sort of tell myself I'm going to get into like even baking or painting or something like that, but I just end up going back to music every single time.
I mean, at the end
It's
of the
like within
day,
me.
yeah, I'm going to say if you're doing something that you love, then it's not going to feel well, obviously it is going to feel like a pressure at times, but I think what I mean is it's like it doesn't feel like one of those, ugh, I have to do it like any other job would. It's like if you're doing something that you really love and that you're really invested in, that is going to sort of feel like, oh, there's not really that much pressure here. You know what I mean? So yeah, no,
Yeah,
I can totally
definitely.
understand that perspective. No, absolutely. I mean, so with us being student pages, the main thing that we try and do is give students a bit of an insight to like both your life and how you do things, but also just general advice that you would give to students and what they can do to push forward their, say they want to do what you do, what they can do to get there. So, what would you say is the best advice you can give to break into the music industry?
I think my advice would be to just do it, put yourself out there. post the video, post the covers, write the songs. I started busking when I was 15 just so I could perform, playing charity gigs. I just try to play as many gigs as possible. And when I didn't have the gigs, I would be uploading the songs online and things like I think that would be my advice is just do it. I think I'm definitely guilty of planning and obviously there has to be an element of planning to things, but I wait for a good time to do things. But there's never a good time. It's sort of about making the time and yeah, just really I know it sounds dead simple, but just do it and also to try and not get bogged down by any outside noise. You need to try and think that no one's watching as well. Just post like nobody's watching, play like nobody's watching. Just remember that it's for you. And I think staying true to yourself is definitely a good way to I guess make it because people want real people. People feel connected to something that's real as well. So yeah, just do it and try not to give a swear word about what people think.
Hey, no, absolutely. No, I'm totally with you there. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think people seem to have this assumption that there's some sort of textbook to making it big or, how people break into these industries. But realistically, I think you just sort of have to have the talent and something a bit about yourself to actually, make it work. People will notice inevitably, even if it's just one, and eventually it'll catch on and on and on. And yeah, no, I absolutely. No, it makes complete sense. So I have a pretty big question to end things off on then, because I always like asking this one because people never know what to say. Maybe you do. If you had to just boil down one thing in all of this journey, getting to where you are now, what would you say has been the biggest challenge of all of it?
Biggest challenge. I think, to be honest, the biggest challenge is it's the fight I have with myself. I think, especially as creative people, we can also be perfectionists. I am 100% a perfectionist, so I think my sort of biggest battle has been with myself, and that's something that I'm starting to sort of win now, I guess. And it's just to not be so hard on myself. And I guess there's an element of what I was saying as well, of not caring what other people think as well. You can't do anything with just a thought in your head. You have to put it out there. And if you can if you can just tell those sort of negative, intrusive thoughts in your mind to shut up for a wee second or just like let them come and not let them grind you down, then I think that can be the key to success. But it's definitely harder than it sounds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, for what it's worth, I think you're immensely talented. I think you're doing great. So,
Oh, thank you.
for what that counts for. So, go on then. You've obviously got the album, but what else have you got in the works? If you're allowed to say anything, I understand there's those cursed things called NDAs, but is there anything else that you're allowed to talk about that you're excited for? And yeah, what can we expect coming up from you?
Yeah, so I've got my lead single from the album coming out. It might actually be out by the time this is out. So it's out on the 10th of September. It's called Good and Goodbye, and we've filmed a lovely music video for that with James Slater. So that'll be out, and the album's out on the 17th of October. But leading up to that, I have some in-store tours, which is like acoustic gigs, and I'll sign the albums and stuff like that. And then I have the main debut album tour, which is sort of going all across the UK. And most of it's sold out now, which is really exciting. And yeah, that's basically all the big things that are coming up this year. Album tours, everything album basically. I'm excited and yeah, it's going to be a busy rest of the year and hopefully next year as well.
That sounds absolutely awesome. It's interesting, when people have tours coming up, they're always trying to sell it, but it's like you actually can't. It's like sold out. It's like, well, what do you do now?
I know I honestly wasn't expecting it to go in the way that it did. I think that's the first time I've been able to actually say that out loud as well. Like, oh yeah, it's mainly sold out now, but
It's like, yeah, try and come, but you probably can't. But hey, no,
just
no,
get
that's
tickets for
absolutely
next time.
wonderful.
Oh,
No,
thank you.
absolutely. No, honestly, massive congratulations on everything you've done. I'm super excited for you. I think it sounds like it's been an absolutely incredible journey to where you are, and everything's looking very bright for the future. So, just massive congratulations. Thank you ever so much for talking to me. And yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. That's made my day.